co-working is a new venture for lots of REITs. But it raises a number of interesting questions, and that focuses on time, space, and services.
Joining me today to provide his insights on the REIT market is Craig Stern, Real Estate Managing Director with Mazars USA LLP. Craig, can you explain some of the REIT-related issues that you see involved in the rental of co-working spaces?
When you think about co-working, you think about what is rent, which is a fundamental question in the REIT world, is what is rents from real property. But to define that and to answer that question, you need to think about what time period are you talking about. You have to think about what space is being rented out, and you have to think about what services are going to be provided. And co-working raises interesting questions and challenges with regards to all three, because the co-working space can be short-term, it could be a day, a week, a month, a year, meaning long-term. It can be a designated space, a designated office, a designated desk. It can be a non-designated space. It can be just a conference room. It can be you come into the space and whatever's available you take. And it can be services. It can be whether or not the REIT will be providing services that are customary, that are for the convenience of the tenant, and who provides those services. Or there are no services, they're just amenities. There are just desks and computers, but the REIT doesn't actually provide any of hands-on services.
Now, what needs to be considered by a REIT that has a parking lot next to its office or retail space?
The government has always tried to figure out whether or not if you just lease a parking lot, is that good rents from real property? You know, if it's a standalone parking lot, it's not clear that it is. On the other hand, if it has some connection to your building, then under certain circumstances it would be. So back in 2004, the IRS tried to grapple with this, and they came up with some guidelines as to what would be treated as good rents from real property. And that gets to the three questions. It's what is the proximity of the parking lot to your office building, your apartment building, shopping mall, etc. What is the size of the parking lot? Is it an appropriate size for the tenants and their guests? And then the third is what services you will render with regards to that space, as well as who's going to use that space.
Can you describe one or more recent examples in the REIT context where you had to analyze whether an interest was debt or equity? And can you also describe why it mattered and some of the important factors that went into your conclusion? That is now, as the world of finance has sort of changed and people have moved from just one layer of debt to multiple layers of debt. And sometimes the primary lender won't allow you to have multiple layers of debt, which then forces you, the REIT, to make your advance as a partner, or you have to call it the preferred equity. And that gets to two fundamental questions: is, are you really a partner with regards to that partnership? Meaning, who is a partner and how do you know when somebody's a partner? And is it debt versus equity? And the question of debt versus equity has been litigated many times. There are lots of rules and lots of cases, so you really need to understand which side of the line you fall in. And even if it turns out that you are a partner, and even if you find out that it's equity, then there's another layer. You have to determine whether or not that advance of the money is in your capacity as a partner. I mean, I could be a partner and lend money, or I could be a partner and put in additional capital, and how you draw the line between those two is relatively murky. So these are all challenging questions for the REIT and the REIT advisors.